Ahí ya está grabando. ¿Ven la pantalla, sí? Las diapositivas.
Sí, ahí se ve, pa.
Listo. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Power Play Online Virtual Negotiation World. Today, we will simulate a high-level international negotiation inspired by the real acquisition attempt of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft. In this simulation, each participant will represent a major global actor with different interests, strategies, and sources of power. The objective is not only to reach an agreement, but also to manage influence, reputation, public opinion, and regulatory pressure in a virtual international environment. The scenario is based on the real conflict between Microsoft, Activision Blizzard, Sony, and international regulators. Microsoft wants to acquire Activision Blizzard to strengthen Xbox and Game Pass and become a dominant force in the gaming industry. Sony fears that this acquisition could create unfair competition and reduce its market position. At the same time, regulators are concerned about monopolistic behavior and the impact on consumers. In this simulation, public perception, media influence, and strategic alliance will play a critical role in the negotiation process. This activity is designed to apply important international negotiation concepts in a practical and interactive way. During the simulation, participants should demonstrate concepts such as BATNA, coalition building, precision tactics, distributive and integrative negotiation, crisis management, and media influence. The goal is to move beyond theory and apply negotiation strategy in a realistic scenario. Each participant represents a different international actor. Microsoft seeks expansion and market leadership. Activision Blizzard wants the best possible agreement while protecting its interest. Sony aims to stop the acquisition and defend market competition. Finally, the regulation and international press represented by me will supervise the negotiation, challenge participant publicity, and evaluate whether the agreement should be approved. Before we begin, here are the rules. Every agreement must be written and publicly registered. Secret alliances are allowed. Power cards may only be used once. No participant can be eliminated from negotiation. As moderator and regulator, it may intervene if I detect any competitive behavior or unethical negotiation practices.
Sony agrees with the negotiation framework and supports transparent negotiations.
Okay.
By
Now,
Microsoft, will
okay.
apply integrative negotiation and persuasion strategies in order to build agreements that benefit both the market and consumers.
Okay. Now we are going to explain the phase or their operation timeline game. The simulation will be divided into 6 phases. 1. Preparation. 2. Open negotiation. 3. Crisis event. 4. Press conference. 5. Final agreement. 6. Reflection and analysis. And analysis. Each phase has a strict timeline limit, so participants must negotiate strategically and efficiently.
Activision Blizzard will carefully evaluate every state of the negotiation.
Okay. What's in about Microsoft or Sony? About
Uh,
the phases.
Sony is ready to defend competitive balance throughout our negotiation phase.
Okay, and Microsoft?
And Microsoft, this acquisition has the potential to create innovate, improve gaming accessibility, and expand the technological development worldwide.
Okay. Well, for phase one, intelligence and strategy, you now have a few minutes to analyze your objective, define your strategy, and establish your partner. Your best alternative if the negotiation fails. Think carefully about potential alliance, negotiation leverage, and possible risk. We are going to give 2 minutes to think about.
Now by Microsoft partner is pursuing a alternative market expansion strategies if this acquisition fails. Our strategy focuses on the persuasions, coalition building, and integrative negotiations.
Activision Blizzard outbound is my thing, independent expansion or exploring alternative strategies, partnership or leverage come from our intellectual property portfolio and market influence.
And Sony's partner is convincing regulators to delay or block the merger if Microsoft reinforces competitive guarantees. Our strategy focus on public pressure, media influence, and coalition building.
Okay. Well, for phase two, the negotiation phase officially begins now. Participants may negotiate agreements, exchange resources, persuade other actors, and create a strategic alliance. Remember, every decision may affect your reputation and influence. You may also use private communication channels for confidential negotiation.
Well, by Microsoft, this acquisition could improve technological innovation, expand consumer access, and strengthen the gaming industry globally. Microsoft is willing to negotiate regulatory commitments and transparency measures.
Mm, Sony believes this merger could reduce consumer choice and create excessive market concentration. Regulators must carefully evaluate the long-term consequence for competition and innovation.
Activision Blizzard is open to negotiation, but we believe any agreement must reflect our real long-term market value and operational importance.
Now, by Microsoft, we are prepared to guarantee fair access to gaming content and maintain responsible market practices.
The guarantees may not fully eliminate long-term competitive risks.
And public perception and regulatory confidence are becoming central factor in the negotiation.
Okay, attention everyone. We are now entering phase 3, crisis event, the escalation curve. Until this moment, the negotiation environment appeared relatively stable. However, international negotiations are never completely predictable. External pressures, media leaks, economic shocks, and political influence can rapidly destabilize even the strongest agreement. For this point, forward your strategies will be tested under extreme pressure. Okay, breaking news. Confidential conversation between participants had been leaked on social media. Public trust is rapidly decreasing. All secret alliances must now be relayed publicly.
This leak increases public concern regarding transparency and market fairness.
By Microsoft remains committed to transparency and responsible negotiations despite the current situation.
Private negotiations are common in international agreements, but ethical standards remain essential.
Okay. Now, our urgent market update. As sudden a global financial crisis has affected international investor and technology markets.
By Microsoft, economic instability requires more strategy and responsible of the negotiations.
Sony, financial uncertainty increased the risks associated with large-scale acquisitions.
By Activision Blizzard, we must now carefully evaluate whether the agreement remains economically sustainable.
Okay. Now, the international press conference will now begin. Participants must publicly defend their action and explain why their strategy benefits the market and consumers. Please answer clearly and professionally in English. Um, the first question was Microsoft, why should regulator approve this acquisition?
Well, this acquisition could increase innovation, improve good gaming services, expand accessibility for consumers, and create a long-term technological growth within the gaming industry. Microsoft is also willing to cooperate with regulators and implement safeguards that protect fair competition.
Okay. Sonny, what evidence do you have that this deal threat fair competition?
Microsoft, Microsoft could gain excessive control over cloud gaming services, subscription platform, and exclusive content. And this concentration of market power may reduce consumer choice, create disadvantage for competitors, and affect long-term industry innovations.
Well, and Activision Blizzard, what conditions are essential for accepting a final agreement?
We require fair valuation, operation stability, transparent regulatory commitments, and warranties that support long-term sustainable growth.
Okay, the final verdict. We have now reached the final stage of the negotiation. Microsoft must present its final proposal. Regulator will evaluate market impact, competition risks, consumer protection, and the transparency of the negotiation process.
Well, by Microsoft proposes a final agreement that includes regulatory safeguards, transparency measures, and commitments to maintaining consumer access and fair competition.
Activision Blizzard is will to continue negotiation if the agreement guarantees fair valuation, operation stability, and long-term growth.
Sony expects strict regulatory protections and enforceable safeguards to ensure long-term.
Okay, now each participant will briefly explain the strategy they use, the negotiation concept they applied, the challenge they face, and what they improve in future negotiation.
Well, by Microsoft applied integrative negotiation, persuasion strategies, and coalition building throughout the negotiation process. One of the biggest challenges was maintaining public trust while responding to regulatory pressure. Now, in the future negotiations, we would improve transparency and public communication strategies earlier in the process. And the core approach by the Microsoft negotiations is integrative negotiation win-win instead of the hostile or protective stance. Microsoft adopts an integrative approach.
Sony acted mainly as a competitive negotiator, using distributed negotiation, pursuit tactics, coalition building, and media influence strategies to defend market competition and consumer interests. Our biggest challenge was responding to Microsoft persuasive strategies while maintaining public credibility and defending competitive balance. Throughout the simulation, Sony focused on influencing regulatory perception, public opinion, and market transparencies. In future negotiations, Sony will strengthen international alliance early in the processes and develop more collaborative long-term regulatory solutions.
Activision Blizzard applied Batna leverage strategy ambiguity and multi-party negotiation concepts. One challenge was balancing shareholder value, public opinion, and regulatory expectation simultaneously. In future negotiation, we will improve communication and long-term strategic coordination.
Okay. Um, Finally, Power Play Online shows that international negotiations are not only about money and business power, they are also about reputation, influence, communication, alliance, and strategic decision making under pressure. And well, thank you everyone, and welcome to the negotiation battlefield.
Now, this simulation demonstrates the importance of the negotiation, the adaptability, and strategic cooperation in international business environment.
Hmm, Baisoni, these experiences show how public opinion, regulation, and market competition can shape global negotiations.
This simulation highlighted how corporate negotiation involve not only financial interest but also reputation, strategic, and long-term market influence.
Well, thank you everyone. Have a nice day.